I still remember every detail of our wedding day. The way the California sun painted golden streaks across the garden. How Amanda looked in her white dress. The way her eyes sparkled when she said "I do." She was everything I had ever dreamed of. And that day, June 21st, she became my wife. Then just 14 days later, she sat across from me at our dining table and told me she was leaving. Her ex-boyfriend, David, had terminal cancer, and she needed to fulfill a promise from their past. Trước khi tôi kể cho các bạn câu chuyện đau lòng này, hãy cho tôi biết các bạn đang xem từ đâu và nhấn subscribe để không bỏ lỡ những bài học cuộc sống đắt giá. My life before Amanda felt complete but ordinary. At 28, I had settled into a comfortable routine as a software engineer in San Francisco. I spent my weekends experimenting with new recipes in my kitchen and attending local concerts. My friends would joke that I was married to my code, but deep down I knew something was missing. That all changed on July 4th, 2023, at a backyard barbecue hosted by our mutual friend Jason. I was manning the grill when I looked up and saw her walking through the gate. Amanda had this effortless beauty about her, wearing a simple blue sundress, her brown hair cascading over her shoulders. But it was her smile that truly captivated me, bright and genuine, reaching all the way to her eyes. Jason introduced us, mentioning that Amanda worked in marketing for a tech startup. We clicked, instantly discovering shared tastes in music, films, and a mutual dream of exploring Europe together someday. The conversation flowed so naturally that before we knew it, everyone else had left the party. Under the stars that night, Amanda mentioned she had recently ended a 5-year relationship with someone named David. They had been college sweethearts, but gradually grown apart. She seemed genuinely ready to move forward. I knew from that first night that Amanda was special, so I pursued her with a patience and determination I never knew I possessed. I sent flowers to her office with handwritten notes. I planned creative dates like a private tour of an art gallery, followed by a picnic in the park. Each moment with her felt like discovering a new favorite song, something you want to experience again and again. Our first kiss happened beneath the stars at Golden Gate Park 3 weeks after we met. The city lights twinkled below us, and when she looked at me with those deep brown eyes, I knew I was falling hard. Her lips tasted like the strawberry ice cream we had shared earlier, and that moment is forever etched in my memory. Our relationship progressed naturally. Within months, I had met her parents, John and Lisa, who welcomed me warmly into their home in Sacramento. Amanda fit perfectly with my family too, especially with my younger sister Tara, who called Amanda the sister she never had. We took a vacation to Hawaii for New Year's, where we spent blissful days snorkeling and evenings watching the sunset from our balcony. By February, Amanda had moved into my apartment. Waking up beside her every morning felt like a dream. We established little rituals like Sunday morning pancakes and Wednesday night board games. She brought warmth and laughter into spaces that had once felt empty. 6 months into our relationship, I knew without a doubt that I wanted to spend my life with her. I planned a proposal at the Italian restaurant, where we had our first official date. The owner, Antonio, helped me hide the 2-carat diamond ring in her dessert. When she found it, her eyes welled with tears. "Will you marry me, Amanda?" I asked, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. She nodded emphatically before finding her voice. "Yes, Gareth. Yes, absolutely yes." The next 8 months were a whirlwind of wedding planning. Amanda threw herself into every detail with enthusiasm, from selecting the perfect venue overlooking the Pacific to choosing wildflower arrangements that complemented her ivory gown. She spent hours researching photographers, tasting cake samples, and creating personalized vows. Looking back now, there were subtle signs I missed. Occasionally, Amanda would become distant, staring off into space during dinner, or becoming unusually quiet while discussing wedding plans. When I asked what was wrong, she would quickly smile and blame work stress or wedding jitters. I believed her completely. Our wedding day arrived perfect in every way. 120 guests witnessed us exchange rings and promises. Her father teared up walking her down the aisle, and my mother later told me she had never seen me look so happy. The reception lasted until midnight, with friends and family dancing beneath string lights and stars. We took a brief honeymoon to Napa Valley, spending 4 days touring vineyards and relaxing at a luxury spa. We talked excitedly about our plans for a longer European trip for our first anniversary, sketching out an itinerary that included Paris, Rome, and Barcelona. Those days were filled with such joy and anticipation for our future together. I had no idea that everything was about to unravel. The first signs that something was wrong appeared almost immediately after we returned home. Amanda began checking her phone constantly, often stepping onto our apartment balcony to take calls in private. When I asked who was calling so late, she would casually mention work colleagues or old friends, but her smile never quite reached her eyes. I found her crying in the bathroom at 3 in the morning, about a week after our wedding. When I knocked gently on the door, she quickly wiped her tears and claimed she was just feeling overwhelmed by a new project at work. I offered to make her tea to talk it through, but she insisted she just needed sleep. "Everything is fine, Gareth," she assured me, but her voice carried a tremor I had never heard before. The distance between us grew wider each day. Amanda began coming home later from work. Our nightly ritual of cooking dinner together stopped. She claimed exhaustion, but would then stay up until the early hours, typing messages on her phone with the screen tilted away from me. 10 days after our wedding, I discovered a charge on our joint credit card for a bouquet of lilies delivered to Memorial Hospital across town. When I casually mentioned it over breakfast, Amanda dropped her coffee mug, sending ceramic shards and hot liquid across our kitchen floor. "My coworker had surgery," she stammered, bending down to clean up the mess with shaking hands. "I forgot to tell you." That night, I woke to find her side of the bed empty. Following the sound of her hushed voice, I found Amanda huddled on our balcony, whispering intensely into her phone. She jumped when she saw me and quickly ended the call. "Who was that?" I asked, my stomach tightening with dread. "Just my mom," she replied too quickly. "Dad is having trouble with his medication again." But when I called her parents the next day to check on her father, her mother seemed confused. "Your father is fine, Gareth. Better than ever with his new prescription." Exactly 2 weeks after our wedding day, Amanda asked if we could have a special dinner at home. She prepared all my favorites, lasagna from scratch with garlic bread, and opened an expensive bottle of wine. But she barely touched her food, pushing pasta around her plate as tension built between us. "Gareth, I need to tell you something," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "David has terminal cancer. Stage 4 pancreatic. His doctors say he has maybe 6 months left." The world seemed to slow down as her words sank in. "I am sorry to hear that," I said cautiously, still not understanding what this meant for us. "There is more," she continued, tears welling in her eyes. "Before we broke up, when his father died of cancer 3 years ago, I made him a promise. I told him if he ever got sick like that, I would be there for him, that I would not let him face it alone." My hands grew cold as realization dawned. "What exactly are you saying, Amanda?" "I have to go to him, Gareth. I have to fulfill that promise. You knew about this before our wedding, did not you?" I asked suddenly, remembering her distant looks, her secret phone calls. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "He called me a month before the wedding. I did not know what to do. I thought maybe I could support him from a distance, send money for treatments, check in regularly. But he is getting worse, and his family cannot provide the care he needs. So you married me, knowing you might leave." My voice cracked with disbelief. "Why not postpone the wedding? Why go through with it at all?" "Because I love you, Gareth, I do. But I made a promise to someone who is dying. How can I live with myself if I break that?" That night spiraled into the worst argument of my life. I suggested accompanying her to Boston to support both her and David. I proposed taking a leave from work to help care for him together. I begged her to consider any option that did not involve abandoning our 2-week marriage. "It cannot work that way," she insisted. His family expects me to be there for him fully. And honestly, Gareth, I owe him this. We were together for 5 years. The next morning, Amanda's parents and my family became involved with endless phone calls and emergency visits. Her father pleaded with her to reconsider, while my sister Tara accused Amanda of never truly loving me. Our friends took sides, some suggesting couples therapy, others advising me to let her go if that was what she truly wanted. Through all the chaos, Amanda remained resolute. When I returned from a walk intended to clear my head, I found her packing a suitcase. On our bed lay a printed boarding pass for a flight to Boston, departing the next morning. "You already bought your ticket," I said, the final piece of hope within me crumbling. "You made this decision without even talking to me first." Amanda paused her packing and approached me with tears streaming down her face. She slipped her wedding ring off her finger and placed it in my palm, closing my fingers around it. "I am so sorry, Gareth. I never meant to hurt you, but I have to do this." As she zipped her suitcase closed, I felt my entire future, all our plans and dreams being locked away with it. The days following Amanda's departure exist in my memory as a blur of sleepless nights and unanswered questions. I called in sick to work, eventually taking 2 weeks of emergency personal leave when my manager found me staring blankly at my computer screen, unable to write a single line of code. My apartment, once filled with Amanda's laughter, now echoed with painful silence. I could not eat, surviving mostly on coffee and whatever my sister Tara forced me to consume when she checked on me. 4 days after Amanda left, our mutual friend Sarah called. Her voice was gentle, but hesitant. "Gareth, I thought you should know. Amanda is staying at David's apartment in Boston." His sister posted photos online of Amanda helping decorate his hospital room. The confirmation hit me like a physical blow. Some irrational part of me had been hoping Amanda would realize her mistake and return home. Now that fantasy crumbled completely. In my desperate search for answers, I opened our shared laptop. Amanda had always used it for planning our wedding and honeymoon. The browser history revealed a trail of conversations between her and David, dating back to weeks before our wedding. In one email, David had written, "I cannot face this without you, Mandy. No one understands me like you do." He had called her Mandy, a nickname I never knew existed. Digging deeper, I found something that made my blood run cold. An email from David's oncologist. Recommended professional hospice care, rather than placing this burden on family members or friends. The doctor had explicitly advised against Amanda becoming his primary caregiver, suggesting it would be detrimental to both her well-being and possibly David's treatment plan. Even more devastating was discovering a bank transfer Amanda had made just before leaving, withdrawing $5,000 from our joint account money we had saved for our European honeymoon. The transfer description simply read, "Medical expenses for D." Unable to process these revelations from afar, I impulsively booked a flight to Boston. I needed to see Amanda face to face, to understand why she had thrown away our marriage for someone who apparently had medical professionals suggesting an entirely different care arrangement. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near Boston Common Neutral Territory. When Amanda walked in, I barely recognized her. Her long brown hair had been cut into a practical bob. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, and she had lost weight. Her wedding dress would have hung from her frame now. "Thank you for meeting me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What are you doing here, Gareth?" She sounded tired, almost annoyed. "I told you I need to focus on David right now." "I found the emails from his doctor," I replied. "They recommended professional care, not you abandoning your life to play nurse." Her expression hardened. "You had no right to go through my emails, and you do not understand the situation at all. Then help me understand Amanda. Because from where I am sitting, you threw away our marriage for someone who has medical professionals telling him not to rely on you for care." She looked away. His family needs me. They have always treated me like one of their own. They were devastated when we broke up. That comment led to another revelation. Through careful questions, I discovered that David's family had never accepted our relationship or marriage. His mother had apparently called Amanda repeatedly before our wedding, reminding her how she and David were meant to be together. His sister had posted on social media the day Amanda arrived in Boston. "Thank you for coming back to where you belong when my brother needed you most." The final crushing blow came 3 days after I returned to San Francisco. A legal courier delivered divorce papers to my door, citing emotional infidelity as grounds for the dissolution of our marriage. Amanda was not only leaving me for her ex-boyfriend, she was trying to make it seem like I had done something wrong. That night was my darkest. I sat on the balcony of my 18th floor apartment, a bottle of whiskey in hand, staring down at the city lights below. The thought of simply ending the pain flickered through my mind like a malevolent shadow. What was left for me now? The woman I loved had revealed herself to be someone I never truly knew. My future had disappeared in the span of 2 weeks, replaced by paperwork that reduced our vows to a legal transaction gone wrong. The knock on my door that night might have saved my life. Luke, my best friend since college, had been trying to reach me for hours. When I did not answer his calls, he drove across the city to check on me. "Jesus, Gareth," he said, when he saw me on the balcony, disheveled and surrounded by empty bottles. "Give me that." He took the whiskey from my hand and guided me back inside, away from the dangerous height and my even more dangerous thoughts. That night, as Luke made me drink water and eventually fall into an exhausted sleep on the couch, something shifted within me. The next morning, with a pounding headache but clearer thoughts, I made a decision that would change everything. I cannot control what Amanda does. I told Luke over the black coffee he had brewed, but I can control what I do next. My first step was calling a therapist Luke recommended, who specialized in relationship trauma. My second was contacting Jessica Martinez, a divorce attorney, known for her fair but firm approach. While Amanda might be trying to paint me as the villain, I would not allow her to take my dignity along with my heart. Jessica listened carefully to my story and reviewed the divorce papers Amanda had sent. "These claims of emotional infidelity are completely unfounded," she stated confidently, "and we will absolutely demand the return of the $5,000 she transferred without your consent." That was marital property. Setting boundaries became my lifeline. I blocked Amanda on social media, along with David and his entire family. I instructed Jessica that all communication should go through her office. When Amanda tried calling from unknown numbers, I stopped answering calls from anyone not in my contacts. Every day became a battle to rebuild myself. I joined a support group for people who had experienced betrayal in marriage. Hearing others' stories reminded me I was not alone in my pain. One man in the group, Miguel, had been left after 20 years of marriage, yet had found a way to create a meaningful life again. His resilience inspired me. I channeled my anger into physical transformation, committing to the gym 5 days a week. Each drop of sweat felt like releasing a small portion of my grief. Within 2 months, I had lost the softness that had accumulated during my happily married days, replacing it with lean muscle and renewed confidence. I also returned to cooking, an old passion that Amanda had never fully supported, claiming my elaborate meals were showing off. I enrolled in a professional culinary course on weekends, finding unexpected joy in perfecting my knife skills and learning classical French techniques. At work, I threw myself into a challenging new project, working longer hours, but also securing a promotion and substantial raise. My boss commented that my code had never been sharper, more elegant. Pain, it seemed, had focused my mind in unexpected ways. 4 months after Amanda left, I began volunteering at a cancer support center. I told myself it was to understand what David and Amanda might be experiencing, but truthfully, helping others facing serious illness gave me perspective on my own troubles. During one volunteer shift, I met Ashley, an oncology nurse, who specialized in pancreatic cancer cases. When I cautiously mentioned David's diagnosis during a coffee break, her response changed everything. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, with a 6-month prognosis. She asked, frowning. That is certainly serious. But with new targeted therapies, many patients are surviving years beyond initial estimates, especially younger patients. My colleague is running a clinical trial where participants are showing remarkable 5-year survival rates. This information nagged at me. I asked Luke, whose roommate was a medical student, to discreetly research typical prognoses and treatments. What he discovered was illuminating. While pancreatic cancer was indeed serious, someone diagnosed early in their 30s, like David, had significantly better outcomes than older patients, especially with access to cutting-edge treatment centers in Boston. One evening, while scanning social media through a friend's account, I discovered something that sent shockwaves through me. David's sister had posted engagement-style photos of him and Amanda at Boston Public Garden. The caption read, "So excited for these two to finally make it official. Cancer showed them what truly matters." I felt physically ill. Not only had Amanda left me for David, but she was already planning another wedding. The timeline suggested their relationship had resumed almost immediately after she arrived in Boston, casting further doubt on her claims about going there solely to fulfill a caregiving promise. With this new information, I requested a video call with Amanda, which she reluctantly accepted. When her face appeared on my screen, I got straight to the point. "Amanda, I have been speaking with oncology specialists. They tell me that someone David's age, with access to Boston's medical facilities, likely has a much better prognosis than 6 months. Do you actually know his medical details?" Her expression flickered with something between guilt and surprise. "I am not involved in his medical appointments," she admitted. "His mother usually takes him. But David told me the doctors give him very little time. And you never thought to verify this, even though it was the reason you ended our marriage." "It is not that simple, Gareth," she protested. "David needs me. His family needs me." "And what about the engagement photos? Was that part of your caregiving promise too?" Her eyes widened. She had not realized I knew about those. "Things evolved naturally," she said weakly. "We reconnected in a way I never expected." "I think you knew exactly what would happen," I replied, maintaining a composure that surprised even me. "I am sending you information about pancreatic cancer treatment and survival rates. Not because I want you back, but because you should know if someone is being honest with you." I ended the call, feeling strangely liberated. For months, I had carried the weight of believing I had lost Amanda to a noble sacrifice. Now I understood that I had lost her to a choice, possibly even to manipulation, but not to inevitable tragedy. A week later, Amanda sent a text that confirmed my suspicions. "You were right. I checked with his doctors. David exaggerated his prognosis. He is responding well to treatment and could have years ahead of him." I feel like such a fool. I did not respond. Her revelation changed nothing about our future. The woman I had married had shown me exactly who she was, and no medical clarification could undo that knowledge. 8 months after Amanda walked out of our apartment, I accepted a job offer in Seattle. The company offered a substantial salary increase, but more importantly, it represented a fresh start in a city without memories of my failed marriage lurking around every corner. My new apartment overlooked Puget Sound, and each morning I watched the ferries crossing the water, a reminder that life continues to move forward even after devastating storms. Ashley, the oncology nurse, had transferred to Seattle's Cancer Research Center 3 months earlier, and our friendship had gradually deepened into something more. She understood my hesitation to jump into a new relationship and respected the boundaries I needed. Unlike Amanda, Ashley valued honesty above all else, a quality I now recognized as essential. Despite my clear communication through my attorney that I wanted no contact, Amanda continued reaching out. Emails, voicemails, even letters arrived at my new address, all carrying variations of the same message. She had made a terrible mistake. David had manipulated her with exaggerated medical claims, and she wanted a second chance. In her most recent message, Amanda revealed that David had admitted to deliberately misleading her about his prognosis. Apparently, when he learned about our engagement, he had concocted the terminal illness story as a last-ditch effort to win her back. His family had been complicit, particularly his mother, who had never accepted their breakup. I was blind, Amanda wrote. Blinded by guilt over leaving him years ago by his family, making me feel I owed them something by a promise made when I was too young to understand what it really meant. 2 weeks after receiving that email, Amanda texted that she was flying to Seattle and begged for one final conversation. Against my better judgment and Jessica's legal advice, I agreed to meet her at a public park near the Space Needle. She looked more like the woman I had married her. Hair grown out again, her face less strained. But something fundamental had changed in how I saw her. The Amanda I had loved existed only in my memory now. I made the biggest mistake of my life, she said immediately. I threw away something real and beautiful for an illusion, for a manipulation. I will regret it forever, Gareth. I studied her face, searching for any emotion within myself other than calm detachment. I forgive you, Amanda. But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. She pulled out a small velvet bag and handed it to me. Inside was her wedding ring, along with a check for the full $5,000 she had taken, plus interest. I know money cannot fix this, she said. Nothing can. But I want you to know I take full responsibility for what I did. I got caught in a web of guilt and false obligation, and I hurt the one person who truly loved me unselfishly. We talked for nearly 2 hours. I learned that she and David had broken up when she discovered the extent of his deception. She had moved back to Sacramento with her parents, was in therapy, and was trying to rebuild her life. Part of that process, she explained, was making amends where possible. The hardest lesson, I told her, as our conversation drew to a close, was learning that my value does not depend on whether someone chooses to stay. For months I questioned what I had done wrong, what flaw in me had caused you to leave. Now I understand that your choices reflected your character, not mine. As Amanda walked away for the final time, my phone buzzed with a text from Ashley. Movie night still on. I made that artichoke dip you love. The simple message filled me with more warmth than Amanda's elaborate apologies ever could. In the months that followed, I volunteered to lead a support group for those experiencing relationship betrayal, sharing my story to help others navigate their own pain. The healing power of guiding someone else through darkness helped seal my own wounds. I sent Amanda one final email. Thank you for teaching me about loyalty, honesty, and the true meaning of commitment through their absence. I genuinely hope you find peace and happiness in your life. Later that week, I took the wedding ring Amanda had returned and donated it to a charity auction benefiting cancer research. Watching it go to someone who would give it new meaning felt like releasing the last remnant of bitterness from my heart. What I have learned from this experience is that true happiness comes not from holding tight to someone who wishes to leave, but from holding tight to your own self-respect. Forgiveness is not about welcoming someone back into your life, but about freeing yourself from the weight of resentment. Sometimes the people who hurt us most profoundly also teach us our most valuable lessons about resilience. Have you ever realized that what felt like an ending too painful to bear was actually the beginning you never knew you needed? If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who might be struggling with betrayal or loss. Leave a comment about how you have transformed pain into growth in your own life. Subscribe to hear more stories of resilience. And remember to hit that like button if you believe that sometimes we find our greatest strength in our most vulnerable moments. Thank you for listening, and remember, it is not the storms that define us, but how we navigate through them.